So right now I'm going to cover about correlation and linear regression. How much I'm going to cover? Enough for you to answer the exercise. So your exercise PS3 is based on correlation and linear regression. Okay, so what I'm going to cover today, I'm going to cover on correlation as a statistics. We're going to talk what is meant by when you have a positive and negative correlation. We're going to talk about range effects, the effect of outliers. We're going to cover about regression and prediction plus directionality problem. Which one is X, which one is Y. Then we're going to cover about the third variable problem. So whenever we are doing correlation, it is in reality you have to find the relationship between two continuous data. For example, when you are young, as you grow taller, your weight also increases. Okay, but then all that things stop at the age of 18. So those are the things that you can use correlation because they are continuous data, and as one value increases, the other one value increases or decreases. Okay, for me, at my age is very much related with the size of my trousers, my waist. So when I was 36 years old, my pant size was 36. When I was 44 years old, my pant size, Dockers, was 44. So I was really humongous. Okay, I'm just glad right now at the age of 51, my pant size is not 51. Otherwise, you can make a tent out of it. Okay, so you can have a correlation between age and waist size. Okay, so one of the things that is required, okay, it should be data should be continuous in nature if you want to do Pearson correlation. Okay, the data should be normally distributed. We already covered that earlier. Then there is linearity, and there's a linear relationship between the risk factor and the outcome between X and Y. And the other one is homoscedasticity. You know what is homoscedasticity? And what does the word homo means to you? Same. So this skedasticity refers to distribution of similar distribution. Okay, they are all at the same place. Okay, so remember the requirement for any correlation, there must be a linear relationship. If there is no linear relationship, it is not for correlation. For example, your performance compared to the level of stress. Okay, so if you remember why we are putting so much fire underneath of you, why we are putting so much stress, because stress leads to productivity. Why am I giving you assignment every time you have class? Give you stress, you perform. But of course, kerjasama one the pet kan. So the stress does not happen, but nothing I can do about that lah. Okay, so why? Because we expect higher level of performance with stress. However, you give too much stress, what happens? Become sense of hopelessness. The stress is too high, you no longer perform. So first part, yes, there's a linear relationship. As you increase the stress, the performance increase. But you give too much, it comes to drop. So that's why if you have that kind of relationship, you cannot use correlation. The key word here, this kind of relationship cannot use correlation. Okay, so this is the Yerkes-Dodson law. So it is not for correlation. So correlation, if you can quantify the X and the Y, you can do correlation. For example, stress. Can you quantify stress? You have so much. We have DAS. We have PSS, Personal Stress Scale. And if you can quantify illness, the risk of developing illness, then you can do a correlation. Okay, but in reality, we tend to use it among things that you can measure. Example, your height and weight. As you become taller, you become higher in terms of weight. Okay, or you can use Spearman or candle rank correlation. So example, You have a Likert scale on work satisfaction and work output. You can use Spearman or Kendall rank correlation. So Pearson is for continuous. Spearman and Kendall for ordinal. Okay. Continuous, your height, your weight is continuous. Spearman and Kendall, things that you measure using ordinal data. Are you happy or not? On a scale of 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You decide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one is Likert scale, ordinal data. Okay. Or at the clinic, you give patient petidine. Okay. The higher the dosage of petidine, the less pain patient got. Okay. The patient fall asleep, no longer having any pain. So you ask him to grade the level of pain. Is it no pain, mild pain, moderate, or severe? Based on the dosage of petidine. Anything that is subjective, which you cannot really quantify, because you ask a guy, his level of pain with a girl different. You ask a girl who have delivered a baby, come out through the door, doesn't come out through the window, and the baby come out 5 kilogram. Okay, she knows the real meaning of pain. A guy trying to pass out a 5 millimeter renal stone cannot equate his level of pain same like the mother delivering a 5 kilogram baby. Betul tak? So his reference is different. Okay. So Pearson correlation, you got the relationship between two continuous variables. So I already explained about height and weight. Okay. So what does it measure? It measures the degree of linear association. The value that you get between -1 to 1 is the degree of linear association between variable x and variable y. Okay. So for example, you are analyzing the relationship between height and weight. Okay. When did this thing come out? In fact, Pearson correlation came out because way back in the 1800s, Sir Francis Galton was studying the relationship between the height of the father and the height of their sons. And he found a way to measure this relationship. He called it coefficient of correlation. He gave a specific formula to compute the number from the data that he collected. However, Galton died in 1911. Who continued his work? It was disciple Carl Pearson in 1895. So what happened was, because Pearson who popularized it, it became known as the Pearson's correlation. R.A. Fisher looked at the Galton correlation coefficient and he came up with a geometric formulation. Fisher came up with the correct formulation. So who discovered it? It was Sir Francis Galton. Who popularized it? It was Carl Pearson. Who corrected the whole formula? It was Fisher. Okay, but now it is known as the Pearson correlation coefficient. Okay, so this is what they call the Stigler's law. It is not the person who discovered it will get the name for it. It will be the person who popularized it will get the credit for it. Okay, so you can see here the relationship between height and weight. So this is the height. I'm here 1.76. So by right, my weight is supposed to be around 75 kilogram. I am right now 103 kilogram. Above the scale. Woo. Alright. So what is the formula? Formula look like this. Formula look like this. Complicated like hell. Okay. So don't worry. During exam, we will teach you to calculate it by section. Section A, section B, and section C. So you calculate them separately. After you calculate them separately, then you combine them to come up with the answer. From the R value, you can also get the P value, whether the relationship is significant or not. To get the P value, you have to first convert the R value. You have to convert the R value there to become the t value. And from the t value, you can refer to the t table to get the p value. Okay, let's look at this complicated slide. Okay, this is a slide that shows why this question will never come out for your exam, for the essay one. Okay, so what's the problem here? Okay, the problem here is this. You have the formula at the top there. Okay, xy again. The top one is the x and the y. The one at the bottom is the xx, yy. Okay, above xy, here xx, here yy. Okay, so remember that. So what you need to do, okay, in this scenario, they are trying to show that there is a correlation between your systolic pressure and the diastolic pressure. So here you have the systolic pressure, okay, 118, diastolic pressure of 67. Okay, so this is x, this is y. So this is x when you square it, this is y when you square it. And this is x times y. Okay, so based on that, you have to do for all. So in exam, if I give you only these two. This one, you have to calculate. You sum up the x, you sum up the y, you sum up the x squared, you sum up the y squared, you get the answer at the bottom. All these answers at the bottom, you pull and put it here. Sum of x, sum of x squared, sum of y squared, sum of xy, and of 32. So remember, this is A, this is B, this is C. So we calculate A first. Then you calculate B. Then you calculate C. Then you get into this formula. So A divided by B times C square root. And you get the value of 0.83. So R is 0.83. So this is how we calculate the value of the R. So from the value of the R, you get 0.83. Now we are going to convert the value of R to become T. So you put the R there, from 0.83, you put here. You put here, then you will see that there's another one R here. Then you get the value of the T equivalent to this, 8.34. The P value is going to be very significant. So when you convert to the table like this, degree of freedom of 30. So your value is 8.34. The largest we have 3.65. So it is somewhere here. So it is less than 0.001. So very significant. Okay. But in correlation, we do not care that much about the P value. We care more about the value of the R. Why? Because the R tells you whether it is strong relationship or not so strong. The other one is the direction, whether it is positive or negative. Okay. The value of R will be between -1 and +1. So if you calculate your R, you get value of larger than 1 or smaller than -1, you got the wrong answer. Sorry to say. Okay. So the value of R, you interpret like this. Okay. Right now, between Najib and Mahathir, the correlation is -1. One person goes up, the other person goes down. Okay. So it's like that. That is -1. There is a very strong relationship between Najib and Tun Dr. Mahathir. But the relationship is negative. Okay. Understand what I mean? Okay. Okay. Between Rosmah and Najib is a very strong positive relationship. As one value goes up, the other value also goes up. If the first value comes down, the other value also comes down. Okay. So that is the meaning of +1 relationship. So, Rosmah Mansur and Najib is positive 1 relationship. Tun Dr. Mahathir and Najib is negative 1 relationship. How about me and Mahathir? 0. He doesn't know I exist. Although I know he existed. Okay, that's 0. No correlation. Okay, 0 means no relationship. Okay, okay. So to interpret, it can be either positive or negative. If it is 0.8 and above, or negative 0.8 and less, very strong. Between 0.6 to 0.8, moderate. Between 0.3 to 0.5, it is fair. Less than 0.3, it is poor. Okay. So if you get an R of 0.3, means okay lah, not that good. The factor that you studied does not really contribute to the outcome. If you study and then you get an R of 0.8, excellent. You have found the real cause of the problem. You do intervention, you get rid of that risk factor, you will cure the problem. You see? So that is why the value of the R is very important. Okay. Last time we did a test, pre-test before coming to class. We found out those who come into class with higher marks, at the end they tend to get better marks. The R was 0.87. Okay. Means basically, if this not you coming to my class, you learn. In fact, whatever you know before you come to class, that helps you to pass. Okay. Another example, direction negative. Okay, as one variable increases, the other variable decreases. For example, the bigger I am, the more reduced is my effort tolerance. Yesterday, I had to go up 4 flights of stairs. My wife need to check the toilet of the house that she's renting to other people, and it is on the 4th floor, no lift. I'm fat, I'm big, have to climb up 4 flights of stairs. Luckily, did not get myocardial infarct at the top of the 4th floor. Okay. So, why? Because increased body mass index is related with reduced effort tolerance. Okay. Clear about the story of negative and positive, Okay. When you say R is 0.9, you cannot say R is 90%. Because R is correlation coefficient. Okay. You can only say one causes the other when you do the R square. Why? Because R square is known as coefficient of determination. In the Malay word is perkali penentu. Okay. So coefficient of determination, basically how much the outcome is affected by the risk factor. For example, okay, let's say the correlation is 0.8. 0.8, you square it, become 0.64. 64% of the outcome is determined by that risk factor. Okay? Okay. Let's say we found out, we do a kajian, we do a DAS, D-A-S-S, we do on DAS to all the students. You come here to class, we do a study. We measure the depression scale score. Then we look at your CGPA. And we found out there's a correlation of negative 0.5. The higher your level of depression, the lower is your CGPA. Okay, which one causes what? We're not sure lah. Could be the lower CGPA cause you to be depressed, or the other way around. So when we R square, the 0.5 become 0.25. So 25% of the CGPA score is accounted for by the level of depression. Okay. So if R is 0.5, then the R square is 0.25. So if the R is 0.7, the R square is 0.49. Okay. And this is the diagram that I showed you earlier. Okay. Where showing that for if the correlation is 0.452, then the R square is 0.204. So 20% of the variability of the baby's birth weight is determined by the variability of the mother's weight. Okay. Okay, this one we're going to have some fun. Okay. Correlation is not causality. It depends on the design. And it also does not show you the direction. And there are always issue of the third variable problem. For example, okay, you have a high correlation between the cause of damage in the fire and the number of firemen helping to put out the fire. So to cut down the damage of the fire, should you send less firemen? Okay, because the number of firemen you send is based on the how big the fire is. The bigger is the fire, the more the firemen that you send. Okay, so they're saying that lung cancer is not caused by smoking. Lung cancer is caused by stress. People who are stressed smokes more than people who are not stressed. Yeah. Okay, so the argument is like that. So instead, you have to do a experiment or a cohort study. So just to clarify, you have a big fire, more firemen are sent. Because big fire, you have more damage. Not because of the other way around. More firemen sent, you end up with more damage. So it is the other way around. Big fire, more damage. Sometimes you're not sure what causes what. Is it X causes Y causes X, or they have an effect on each other. Okay, so you're never sure about the direction of the problem. Okay, for example, class attendance. Does class attendance lead to higher grades, or because you got higher grades you want to come to class? Okay, we always argue, if you let your children watch violent television, your children become violent, kan? But not all children like violent television, no. So you have to understand, is it because they are aggressive, they like watching violent TV, or because they're watching violent TV, they become aggressive? So different direction. So for the only way for you to do that is to do a cross-legged panel design. When you say something like a cohort study lah, you study over several points in time, and it looks like this. You measure them in standard 3, then you measure them again in form 5. Okay, then you realize that when you are young, you cannot be violent. You cannot act out your violent behavior. You act out your violent behavior, your father will wallop you. But once you become bigger, you don't need to watch violent TV, because you can become violent already. Okay? So that's why you notice that the R is different. Those who were violent when they were young, they're still violent when they are getting bigger. The R is quite big, 0.38. But those who are violent in the 13th grade can't be bothered to watch violent TV. So see here, minus. Those who are aggressive in the 3rd grade, they prefer violent TV. See the R, this one, a positive 0.21. So you can see here, when they are young, they cannot become aggressive because the father will wallop them. So they watch violent TV. When they are bigger, they don't watch violent TV because they can become violent outside of the house. So violent TV, it does not lead to violent behavior. The violent behavior is already inside. Then the issue of the third variable problem. Sometimes you are studying the wrong factor. So for example, you have the third variable problem. Sometimes you are not sure who are the real cause of the third variable problem. So how about class attendance and CGPA? What is the third variable problem? Does the class attendance lead to better CGPA? Because you are highly motivated. You want to improve your life. So you are motivated. I want bigger pay. I want to be promoted. I want to have a better future. You are motivated. So that is motivated people attend class. Motivated people tend to get better grade point average. Okay. Shah Alam got so many mosques. Every day got people robbing houses, got even the mosque also got kena rompak. So is it the number of mosques lead to the higher crime rate? You go to Sabah Perzam, you get only one murder in every 5 years, 6 years got. Shah Alam every other day got. Why you have more mosques? Yes, more people. You have more people, you have more crime happening. Okay, nothing to do with the mosque. Sial masjid. Okay, the more people eat ice cream, the more people die of drowning. Does not make sense, eh? It does not make sense because we are in Malaysia. Because every day is hot. Every day we eat ice cream. They over there in the European countries, whenever they have summer, they try to cool down by sitting in the fountain, sitting in the lakes. So they eat a lot of ice cream. So when it is hot, they eat a lot of ice cream. They go to the beaches. They go to the beaches. They don't know how to swim. They die. Okay. Can you imagine when have you seen their beaches? How it looks like during summer? Like so many dugong in the water, you know. So one dugong he get on top of the other dugong. The other dugong, the smaller one die lah. I'm the biggest dugong in Shah Alam. Okay, reading score and reading comprehension is based on your IQ. So the higher is your IQ, the higher is your ability to comprehend. Okay, so that is the story about correlation.